What if I told you that mathematically proving the Earth is round on LinkedIn is actually one of the worst things you could possibly do for your professional reach?
Right, which sounds completely backwards.
Exactly. But then drawing a fake, completely inaccurate straight line across the Atlantic Ocean could somehow make you a B2B legend.
I mean, we are so conditioned to believe that professional networking platforms are these, sacred repositories of facts and white papers.
And rigorous accuracy, right?
All right.
But I want you to think about your own scrolling habits this morning. Just really think about it.
Oh, yeah.
How many perfectly accurate, highly rigorous, I am thrilled to announce posts did your brain just completely filter out as white noise?
Probably dozens. I mean, we just glaze over them.
Right. We've reached a point where that traditional architectural blueprint of corporate communication, the straight lines, the obvious categories, the sterile updates, it is failing.
It really is.
It's not just failing to inspire, it is mathematically failing to capture attention.
Because the landscape of digital networking is undergoing this massive mutation right now, the old rules of what constitutes a valuable professional update are completely breaking down.
Which brings us to today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are so glad you are here with us today.
Yes, so glad to have you joining us.
Today's mission is to dissect a truly fascinating piece of source material provided by Santiago Duran.
And we should establish right away, Duran is not just some casual observer guessing at social media trends.
No, not at all. He brings this highly specific dual lens to the phenomenon we're discussing. He is a clinical psychologist.
Which is key here.
Right, meaning he understands the raw neurochemistry and the cognitive processing of the human brain. But he is also a seasoned marketer, and he's the founder of a consultancy called the Honest Catapult.
And that dual expertise is just crucial for this deep dive, because he is looking at the biological imperatives of why we react the way we do, right? And then he cross-references that with the brutal, quantifiable metrics of digital marketing in 2025 and 2026.
Exactly. And the topic we are exploring through his research today is the radical, somewhat counterintuitive rise of humor on LinkedIn.
Which is wild, because we are talking about the platform that has historically been the undisputed land of the stiff corporate update.
Oh, absolutely. The place where people digitally wear like three-piece suits and deploy phrases like synergistic paradigms without a single hint of irony.
Right. It has always been a platform defined by just extreme risk aversion.
But the mission of this deep dive is to explore why breaking that rigid mold with a joke isn't just, a fun little distraction to pass the time between meetings.
No, it's becoming a dominant strategy.
Yes. According to Duran's firsthand experience and the extensive data he's compiled, it is a highly calculated strategy for engagement, for authenticity, and for human-to-human, or H2H, connection.
And we will be looking at hard empirical data from the past year to back this up. We'll deconstruct the algorithmic shifts, and we'll dive into the underlying neurochemistry of what we're calling the professional laugh.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand the mechanics of this shift, we need to start with the inciting incident.
The catalyst for Duran's whole investigation.
Exactly. We have to look at the exact moment Santiago Duran, with all of his clinical and marketing expertise, essentially short-circuited while casually scrolling through his own LinkedIn feed.
It is such a brilliant case study because it perfectly illustrates the cognitive dissonance of that old corporate mindset just crashing headfirst into this new communicative reality.
So let's set the scene for you. Duran is scrolling his feed, right? He's fully locked into his professional analytical mindset.
Which we all do.
Right. And he stumbles upon a post by a man named Sancto. Now, context is everything here. Sancto is the founder of an agency called Viven, and their entire business model is running LinkedIn operations for B2B founders.
So his literal job is understanding the mechanics of attention on this specific platform.
Right, which means absolutely nothing he posts is an accident. So Sancto posts an image of a map showing a flight route from Montreal to Paris.
But it's not a globe.
No, it's a standard, flat, 2D Mercator projection map of the world. And Sancto writes this incredibly deadpan, serious caption. I'll read it. He says, "AI is incredible. I noticed the flight from Montreal to Paris was very inefficient. Using Agentic AI, I created a route that's much more direct. I estimate this will save airlines billions. Anyone have contacts at Air Canada?"
We should probably pause here and clarify the specific terminology he uses because it makes the joke so much sharper.
Oh, yeah, the Agentic AI part.
Right. He specifically cites Agentic AI, which refers to artificial intelligence systems that don't just passively answer prompts like a standard chatbot. They actually act autonomously as independent agents to achieve complex goals.
It's like the ultimate high-level buzzword in the tech space right now.
Exactly. People are out there claiming agentic AI will autonomously run entire corporations.
And Sancto is claiming he used this hyper-advanced technology to draw a line on a map.
Very bad line.
A terribly bad line. The visual he includes is just spectacular if you have even a basic grasp of geography. On this flat map, he has drawn a perfectly straight horizontal orange line directly connecting Montreal and Paris. And he labels that straight line the AI-powered route.
Right.
Then, arching way up high over the Atlantic Ocean, curving toward the north, he draws a blue line and labels it the normal dumb route.
Which is just brilliant satire, because he is deliberately ignoring the curvature of the Earth.
Totally ignoring it.
On an actual 3D globe, that so-called dumb curved blue line is the Great Circle Route. It is mathematically the shortest possible physical distance between those two cities.
Right. But on a flat map, it looks longer.
Exactly. So Sancto is executing this multi-layered joke. He's mocking the current venture capital hype cycle where founders claim that just throwing agentic AI at a legacy industry problem will magically solve it.
Even if the founder has zero actual domain expertise in, say, aerospace or physics.
Yes. He adopts the exact arrogant tone of a tech bro disruptor, but he applies it to basic planetary geometry.
And here is the gotcha moment. This is the moment that completely shatters Duran's perspective. Duran sees this post, and he falls for it. Hook, line, and sinker.
He entirely misses the joke.
He misses it. His professional brain encounters this profound geographical inaccuracy, and his cognitive schema just rejects it. He cannot let this stand.
It's a classic psychological trigger. He processes the absurdity, not as satire, but as genuine, alarming ignorance displayed in a public forum.
So what does he do? He immediately jumps into the comments section, and he doesn't just leave a quick, like, hey, you're wrong. He goes full clinician.
Oh, he really does.
He delivers a highly technical, perfectly accurate, utterly humorless explanation. He types, and I quote, "You are kidding, right? You do understand that the Earth is not just a sphere, but most specifically an oblate spheroid."
Right. An oblate spheroid.
Yes. He then proceeds to meticulously explain how the Earth's circumference is smaller near the poles than at the equator. So curving toward the pole actually covers fewer miles.
I mean, using the phrase oblate spheroid in a LinkedIn comment section is just a phenomenal artifact of that old professional mindset.
There really is.
It is the ultimate assertion of academic dominance in a space where really everyone is just trying to network.
It's incredible. If you think about how that dynamic operates in the real world, it's like someone threw a casual, inflatable flamingo pool party, and Duran showed up in a full three-piece, heavily starched tuxedo.
Right, carrying a silver briefcase.
Carrying the briefcase, ready to audit the pool's pH levels and cite local zoning ordinances.
That is a perfect analogy.
For sheer contrast of his clinical breakdown against this obvious, low-effort internet meme is just comedy gold. But the most revealing part of the anecdote is that right at the very end of typing his comment, Duran actually catches himself.
His self-awareness kicks in.
Yes. He adds a final sentence. He says, "I feel silly explaining this as it's clearly a joke. But in any case, what's your point?"
That moment of self-correction is vital. He recognizes the tuxedo at the pool party. He realizes he fell into a trap. But crucially, he still hits the reply button.
He posts it anyway.
He commits the comment to the platform. And the resulting explosion of digital metrics is what forces him to completely reevaluate his entire understanding of professional marketing.
So let's break down those numbers because they are staggering. Sancto's original joke post performed incredibly well on its own. It pulled in over 12,264 likes and 286 comments.
Which, for a B2B post, is massive engagement.
Right. But the real revelation is what happened to Duran's specific comment. Historically, Duran uses LinkedIn to post serious, meticulously researched, highly polished content about psychology and strategy.
The stuff he spends hours on.
Exactly. But his self-described silly comment about the oblate spheroid, it garnered 80,529 impressions.
Wow. And an impression, just in algorithmic terms, means the platform actively chose to place that specific text onto the screens of over 80,000 unique users.
80,000. And Duran notes that this single accidental comment generated 10 times more reactions than his previous 5 highly polished LinkedIn posts combined.
10 times more.
Let that sink in for a second. He likely spent days outlining and editing his previous posts to ensure maximum professional value. And they receive a fraction of the attention of him aggressively typing Oblate Spheroid at a fake AI flight map.
This raises an important question. If an accidental foray into a joke, a moment where you just stumble blindly into a comedic interaction, can 10x your reach, what happens when professionals use humor deliberately?
What happens when it's on purpose?
Exactly. What happens when you weaponize the humor? That causal link moves the discussion from a funny anecdote into purposeful corporate satire.
And that leads us directly to the next piece of evidence from Duran's text, which is the strategy employed by his friend, Carlos Henao.
Carlos Henao is a perfect pivot point here. He represents that evolution from passive vulnerability to an active, deliberate campaign.
Right, because Henao doesn't just occasionally post a funny meme. He has this deliberate, religiously executed strategy. Every single Friday, he posts something he brands the Useless Friday tip.
Useless Friday tip. I love that.
He deliberately uses these highly visible posts to make fun of the absurdities of work-related situations. He targets the sacred cows of the corporate world, specifically the relentless quest for performance, security, and conflict resolution.
And the timing of this strategy is psychologically brilliant.
Why Friday?
Because by the time Friday afternoon rolls around, the collective cognitive load of the corporate workforce is entirely maxed out.
Oh, cognitive load fatigue. Executives have been making thousands of micro-decisions all week.
Exactly. They are constantly evaluating risk, analyzing data, maintaining this rigid facade of corporate invulnerability. By Friday, presenting them with another dense, jargon-filled white paper is almost perceived by the brain as a threat.
It requires energy they just do not have.
Right. So Henao's satire provides immediate cognitive relief. It serves as a psychological pressure release valve precisely when the audience's defenses are at their absolute lowest.
But Duran is very careful to point out why Henao's specific brand of humor works.
Right.
He isn't just acting like a clown or posting slapstick comedy.
No, not at all. Duran notes that Henao possesses sharp observational skills. He is always making a valid point. True, effective satire in a B2B context requires an intimate mastery of the subject matter.
You have to know the rules to break them.
Precisely. You cannot effectively mock the convoluted intricacies of enterprise software procurement unless you deeply understand how those procurement processes are supposed to work and exactly where they fail.
Okay, but wait, isn't there a risk here? I had to ask, how do you point out the ridiculousness of your own industry without alienating potential clients who might take themselves very seriously? Aren't you risking your reputation by breaking the fourth wall?
That specific fear is exactly why LinkedIn remained a sterile corporate echo chamber for almost 2 decades. It is the paralyzing fear of being labeled unprofessional.
Right.
But Duran's synthesis suggests that the very definition of professionalism is evolving. The source text asserts that humor is no longer seen as unprofessional. It is actually a tool to cut through the noise.
Because everyone else is just blending in.
Exactly. When every single competitor is broadcasting the exact same polished, risk-averse corporate jargon, safety equals invisibility, it all blends into a wall of white noise.
So what Henao is doing actually shows mastery.
Yes. It shows a level of mastery over your field when you can confidently critique its flaws through a comedic lens. It tells a client, I understand the structural flaws of your operations so intimately that I can deconstruct them into a joke, and therefore I can fix them.
I see that. But while anecdotal success about a friend is great, does the broader market reflect this? If you're a marketing director trying to get budget approval for a satirical campaign, you need hard data.
You need quantifiable ROI.
Exactly. And that brings us to the data proving humor's ROI. Duran highlights 2026 data from Cognism. They analyzed massive swaths of platform data and found that LinkedIn posts incorporating humor see a massive 65% increase in engagement compared to purely informational posts.
A 65% lift. To contextualize that, growth marketers will routinely spend thousands of dollars A/B testing button colors just to chase a 1 or 2% optimization.
Right.
To see a 65% aggregate lift tied to a tonal shift is seismic. It points to a fundamental change in user preference.
And it gets even wilder when we look at the paid ads. Because posting a joke organically is free, but Duran cites a 2025 to 2026 study from Search Engine Land looking at B2B video ads. They found B2B video ads utilizing humor saw a staggering 129% engagement lift.
129% on paid ads. And we have to analyze why that matters. Think about who those B2B ads are targeting.
C-suite executives, VP of procurement, CTOs.
Exactly. And legacy logic dictated that these people only cared about strict ROI and bottom line impact. The assumption was you must approach them with extreme gravitas.
Because they hold the purse strings.
Right. But this 129% lift shatters that assumption. It proves that even the most highly targeted corporate decision makers are suffering from profound content fatigue. The sterile tone doesn't convey value, it conveys friction.
So abandoning the sterile tone for laughs actually makes them watch longer and click through.
Yes.
And it's not just videos. Duran brings up a May 2025 ResearchGate study about brand posts utilizing internet memes. It confirms that when brands successfully deploy memes, it drives higher likes and shares.
And this is a massive, but Duran immediately issues a warning based strictly on the text. There is a boundary condition here called the Relevance Trap.
The Relevance Trap. We've all seen a brand try to use a meme and fail miserably.
Oh, it can cause actual reputational damage. The humor must align with the brand tone. If it is forced, the audience's defenses go right back up.
But the study's even more specific regarding the subject matter, right?
Yes. The data explicitly states that if humor is inappropriately injected into cause-related campaigns, the study specifically measured campaigns addressing social justice issues, the engagement metrics plummet.
The data is completely unambiguous on that. And to be clear, we are strictly reporting the data here on engagement metrics without taking any stance on the causes themselves. But purely from an engagement standpoint, applying humor to those specific cause-related campaigns results in decreased engagement.
Exactly. Because it creates a massive tonal dissonance. The user's brain cannot reconcile the serious nature of a social justice cause with the physiological response of a laugh. That confusion turns into discomfort, resulting in immediate disengagement.
So the rule is you can satirize your software, but stay away from serious societal causes.
That is the rigid boundary the data sets.
So seeing the numbers, the 65% organic lift, the 129% paid lift is one thing. But understanding the human brain's reaction to those numbers is another.
Which leads us directly into Duran's psychological analysis of the reader.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Duran brings his clinical perspective to this. I want you to picture the average LinkedIn feed again. It's just an endless scroll of "I'm humbled to announce" posts.
And your brain enters this highly efficient, predictive autopilot state.
Right. And Duran introduces a concept from Mobile Studios. Humor acts as a pattern interrupt.
A pattern interrupt. Because while you're in that autopilot state, your cognitive shields are at maximum capacity. You implicitly understand that every post is a disguised attempt to sell you something.
You are actively deflecting.
Exactly. But then you see a joke. The format does not match your brain's predictive model. It short-circuits your natural resistance. You weren't anticipating a laugh, so your defensive shield involuntarily drops.
And the moment you become present, the neurochemistry takes over. Duran cites research from Yellow Dog Productions. When we laugh, our brains release dopamine.
And dopamine is a powerful neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, reward, and memory formation.
This is my favorite analogy for this. Imagine your brain processing standard corporate posts like a computer uses RAM. It's short-term volatile memory. You read it, you scroll past, and the data is wiped to make room for the next post.
Gone instantly.
Right. Without dopamine, nothing gets saved. But a burst of dopamine acts like hitting Control+S. It writes the interaction directly to the hard drive.
That is such an accurate way to model it. When a professional associates your brand with that dopamine hit, brand recall and loyalty skyrocket. You become the specific individual who provided cognitive relief.
Which connects to this 2026 trend favoring human-to-human, or H2H, connection over traditional B2B. TechTimes.com highlights that humor signals highly prized leadership qualities, like self-awareness and confidence.
Because human beings sign procurement contracts, not concrete office buildings.
Exactly. Think about the humble to announce corporate posturing. It's like wearing a heavy suit of armor. It feels safe, it deflects criticism, but it makes it physically impossible to actually shake someone's hand.
You can't feel the connection through the armor.
No. Humor's taking the armor off.
But if human brains love dopamine and authenticity, how does the cold mathematical LinkedIn algorithm process this deeply human trait?
That is the big structural challenge. An algorithm cannot feel joy.
It doesn't release dopamine.
So we have to look at feeding the machine. The expert data from meet-lead.com breaks down the 2024 and 2025 algorithmic updates.
Right. While the algorithm prioritizes knowledge-based content, it heavily rewards meaningful comments.
And meaningful comments is the key phrase, because humorous posts bypass the generic great post comments.
The three-word replies that the algorithm assigns very low value to.
Right. Humorous posts trigger actual conversational threads. Think back to Duran's 80,000+ impression comment. It was a debate about an oblate spheroid. People were laughing, mock-correcting each other. It was highly conversational.
And the algorithm's natural language processor scanned that. It sees users lingering to read a long thread. It measures the dwell time. The algorithm concludes, I don't know what this means, but it's keeping humans on the platform. Expand its reach.
The machine doesn't know it's a joke. It just knows the retention models are peaking.
And Duran shares tactical advice from Richard Vanderbloom from October 2025 on how to format this.
The gold standard format.
Yes. The ultimate hack right now is combining native video or PDF carousels with a humorous hook in the first 3 lines.
Why the first 3 lines?
Because that's the Seymour threshold. If the joke is buried in paragraph 4, the user scrolls right past. You have to deliver the pattern interrupt immediately. They stop scrolling, click see more, which sends a massive positive signal to the algorithm, and then they consume the deeper knowledge.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, there is a beautiful irony here.
A profound irony.
We are using a mathematical algorithm to reward the most unmachine-like, inherently human behavior possible. Laughter.
We're literally leveraging a sterile formula to distribute our own messy humanity.
Which leads directly into Duran's ultimate philosophical conclusion about what this means for the future of professional networking.
Because we have reached a saturation point.
Duran is very passionate about this. Polish now feels like a mask, and professionalism feels like a wall.
When you see a hyper-polished corporate video today, your instinct isn't to trust it. You assume it's hiding something. Polish no longer signals competence, it just signals conformity.
So Duran frames humor not as a distraction, but as a vital act of professional rebellion. By making a joke, you aren't just hacking dwell time, you are inviting the human factor back into the boardroom.
It's an act of rebellion because you're actively dismantling the ingrained norms.
He calls it lowering the drawbridge. Daring to laugh at the absurdities of our own industries allows for authentic H2H interactions that 1,000 polished white papers could never trigger.
And when you lower that drawbridge, it reveals what Duran calls magnetic confidence.
Magnetic confidence.
It's the rare ability to be entirely, rigorously serious about the quality of your actual work without taking yourself too seriously.
That is the ultimate power move. I am so demonstrably excellent at what I do, I don't need the armor of a corporate jargon to prove my worth.
Exactly.
So I want to address you, the listener, right now. Think about your own industry's absurdities. What are the broken processes everyone silently deals with? How can you use your own honest catapult to break through the noise? Because behind every C-suite title is just a person waiting for a reason to smile and connect.
We have covered so much ground today.
We really have. Just to recap our journey on this deep dive, we went from a fake AI flight map and the trap of the Oblate Spheroid through the hard 2026 engagement data showing that massive 65% organic lift.
And the 129% paid lift.
Right, down into the dopamine receptors of the brain, and finally to the concept of humor as a professional rebellion.
But I want to leave you with a final, lingering thought to mull over.
We'll lay it on us.
If humor and acknowledging absurdity are currently our best tools for proving our humanity on a digital business platform, what happens to professional networking when generative AI inevitably masters the art of the perfect context-aware corporate joke?
Oh, wow.
Will we have to invent an entirely new kind of unprofessionalism just to prove to each other that there's still a human behind the keyboard?
That is a wild, terrifying thought. If the algorithm learns to trigger our dopamine with satire, we're going to need a whole new cryptographic signature for authenticity. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.